I survived 100 days of Star Citizen. What does that even mean? Well, it means that I like to torture myself. Now, I know what you're saying. Torture myself? No, I would never. Joke's on you, I've been playing survival games forever. Star Citizen is one of those kind of games that fits perfectly into the meta for those people that love space, capitalism, and kind of just trying to roam around, discover yourself. Now, when I say discover myself, I don't mean discover myself what kind of dress I want to wear in the morning. I'm saying what kind of bullet fits my gun the best. Now, to get those bullets though, I need to have a job. So I launched in. I got into my default whitey-tidy uniform on Area 18, got on the train, and met the local population. The local population were more or less pretty kind, except for when I started asking them how to make money. They had some different perspectives on how to make money, and I politely declined. Next, I decided to report this individual to the authorities. However, the authorities looked like, he wasn't interested. He spent his time playing Pokemon Go. So I left that. I was already at the hangars, decided I should go and check out on my ship that I bought, seeing as when you buy this game, you get a ship with a thing. There were these McDonald's drive-through machines that were perfect, because no longer did I need to talk to Jimmy Two Shoes, I could just summon it out by myself. I got myself this creepy little stalker bus that comes with a bed inside for unknown reasons. Once I finally figured out how to fly this thing, I took it for a short spin around town, only to find John L. Sullivan's big hologram still kicking ass. Knowing full well that he was the moral compass of this town, I figured it was probably time to leave. Not really knowing where I was going, I figured I'd follow Hawks Gaming's YouTube advice, where he suggests you land on Anakin Skywalker's home planet. You find that one building that the Empire didn't decide to burn down, and you just loot it. You ferociously, savagely loot it. On repeat. And let me tell you, Mr. Hawks was onto something, because he's fully understood capitalism to its core. I would land on these planets, I would instantly breach the doors, run into the living room, kick grandma to the curb if I had to, and go straight for the jewelry boxes. In these jewelry boxes, in this case being these big red crates, there would be guns, armor, and if they weren't there, there would be these white boxes with medical equipment in them. And I would hoard that stuff. I would hoard it like I was Smog the Dragon. I would pull them out of the box, and then I would pull it right back into the house, because for one reason or another, in Star Citizen, you don't really separate the gear out of the house. The house becomes your private bank as soon as you're in it. So I spent so many hours putting all of these guns and boxes into the house by going into the house, taking the guns boxes, pulling them into the little inventory, and then going back to my ship, sleeping off into my creepy little bed, and then logging back in only to have new boxes there. The method itself was flawless. However, my mental state was taking a little bit of a toll, so I decided, well, I should probably do some dress up and actually try some gear that doesn't look, like the whitey-tidy suit that I was born in after spending several days literally looting. So I got this little combo going, and look at me, look how shiny I look. I look like I could take over the world. Once my goblin green little hands had finally felt like they were satisfied with all the loot I'd been hoarding for days and days, I figured it was time to head over to the closest space station that would actually take my contraband, and in this case that was CRUL1. Yeah, that's right. The names are always easy to say in a space station, aren't they? And I'd love to tell you that the reason that I wanted to take this station specifically was because of the easy access to selling guns, but no, let's be honest, it was the burrito bar. The burrito bar was everything to me. If anything ever happens to that burrito bar, then I will burn it all down with everyone inside. You heard me, Robert Industries, everything inside. Moving on, CRUL1 was a station that would not only house lots of great restaurants, it would also house a refinery. And in this refinery, I could find myself a new spaceship. A ship that I could only rent for 24 hours because that's all I could afford. However, it was, something that could help me carry, right? Oh, United Resource Workers, a safe workplace. Now, you always know it's a good sign when you come to an environment where they have a placard like this, right? It feels like you're at Amazon store and you're just looking like, yeah, of course these people are served with human rights. Why wouldn't they have human rights? We're in space. And they're working in anvils in space. But hey, who am I to question logic? Here we are. God, it's beautiful. You'd have to think that there's a safety hazard too. At risk here at all times, right? But then again, every single movie I've ever seen has had some kind of lava flow going on in space stations, so who am I to judge? Also, I'm only here to sell grandma's jewelry today.
So, that's what I'm going to focus on doing. So I found the Mining Support Center. The Mining Support Center is one of those places where you can get wonderful tools to blow up rocks or, just secretly sell your stash of cocaine, I guess, in the back alleys of a space station. Who knows? Point is, I also have a bit of money, and you'll notice that quite soon here when I start touching this Burger King machine. The reason for that is because I took my RSI and I drove multiple small trips first just to make sure I had the money. And can I tell you, flying from spot to spot in this game is not a quick feat. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes everything in this game takes patience. Oh my god, this game takes so much patience. It's okay, I'm not a broken man. It's fine. I'm alright. No, honestly. I got my ship. I went straight away to go and summon it, and then I realized one horrible, horrible truth. Apparently when you buy a ship, or rent a ship, or whatever you do with a ship, you have a waiting period. Nobody told me there was a waiting period at all. Not that I'm complaining, because there happens to be an amazing burrito bar across the corner, but it would have been nice with a heads up. While I was waiting, I met Jerry. Jerry's a guy I met at the burrito bar, and he is currently suffering from space gonorrhea. He has no idea how to tell his wife. Good luck, Jerry. Anyway, my ship arrived, and like everyone that gets a ship that they've been waiting for and paid rental money for, they want it as fast as possible. So I summoned that bad boy out, pad 03, and I went to go and check on it. Upon arrival, I realized that whoever created this should probably have their face put on money within the design world, or potentially at least be praised at the same level as whoever created the first condom. That's all I'm asking. Because this person had specifically ruined my expectations of video games in the future, and not because it was just gorgeous so-and-so, it was just because every little part of this ship had fine detail. And honestly, I have to say, knowing that this is the level they could design on, it almost made me mad. I mean, I want them to kind of stub their toe on Lego in the morning, just to know that there's something that goes wrong with their day. It can't be this nice. You can't create this and then feel free to live a normal life. No, you have to be miserable somehow. You just have to. Okay, you have to give the rest of us this. We need you to suffer a little bit. Because if you can do this at your job, which you're not supposed to enjoy, then let me tell you that you and I, we're going to have a problem. A very, very serious problem. But Happy, you can't just be angry at them for making a beautiful ship. You know what? I can be angry at them, because right now I happen to be driving around in this RSI model van, which is what you'd expect at this point to be outside of a public school, offering candy. I don't feel like I'm actually that special anymore with my little red bus and one bed inside. This thing has bunk beds, it's got turrets, it's made for friends. I mean, if anything, this ship has just insulted my entire integrity, and honestly, I kind of love it. I'm not going back. Well, not if I have a choice, right? Which is a fantastic segue to what happens next, because I was taking this ship because I wanted to do the carry weight thing, right? I took it over to Mounty Harvest. I got all the guns that I had stored over there in my private little bank, and I put them in the ship, figuring, this is great, this is a good idea. Then you might see that we cut scene here, and the reason is because your dear friend here, he can't really focus on one thing at a time when there's multiple options. In this game, it gives you a lot of options, and I figured, well, an easy little stop over at another planet just to do a shooter mission now that I have guns, because for the first time ever I have guns. Let's be honest, I had hardly died because I hardly risked anything ever. I know, the guy that plays video games maybe should control his impulses, but you know what? That's what survival games are about. It's about exploring, taking risks. Some people play these games in a hardcore mode. This one, we're not. What could possibly go wrong in a game like this, right? It's not like they wouldn't just take all my precious loot from me and toss it away because I did a mistake. They wouldn't do that to me, would they? Would they? Some of you right now may be internally screaming, and that's okay, because I'm right there with you. But in all honesty, I mean, you saw my money before I had the 2 million, and apparently the Black Cutlass itself only cost 1.3 or 1.4, and I'm using the word only because I'm trying to not kill myself inside here, but I could afford it. But then again, Star Citizen is one of these games where apparently they release multiple ships every month for a few months, and the prices aren't always too different. So if you're like me and your fingers are just a little bit sticky
when it comes to realizing you can upgrade a little bit higher, then maybe you don't go spending that money and you're greedy about it and you hate yourself a little bit. But don't worry. The mission was going well, you know? Nothing was going wrong. I mean, I killed a bunch of guys. I found this guy in an amazing suit. This is honestly what I imagine Optimus Prime would look like if he had sex with a human being. I mean, it's the prime specimen, and one way or another, I am stealing this suit. Don't you dare judge me. I look like a Disney princess right now. Tangled, Rapunzel, you name them, they have nothing on me. Look, I'm even color coordinated. Everyone's going to be so jealous of my suit. I'm going to go right back to CRU1. I'm going to show it off to everyone with my flashy new ship. And I'm just going to sell all those guns. I'm going to make all the money. Except for there was a hitch. My ship was gone. My ship was gone because apparently these places have turrets and the hostiles are defended. Who knew? They say that the body is 70% water. Mine happens to currently be 70% rage. And not only am I angry about that, but also because I was so frustrated with my ship disappearing, I took a few days break. And when I took this little break of mine, which happened to maybe be a week or two, I came to realize that they had a reset because people were abusing some kind of money technique. And not only did they throw away all of our money, they also gave us a little bit of chunk representative of what you had before, which is kind of nice of them. On the other hand, because I was so furious already and expecting to come back with at least enough money to buy myself the Black Cutlass, because it was a gorgeous ship after all, right? At least I could have that. They took that from me. And they took my new fancy suit that I would kill for. Since cyanide apparently wasn't an option, I decided I'd just go for a walk. Stretch my legs, as they would say. And I ran into this sign saying Invictus. Now, I did not know what this was. Turns out this was a pretty big thing, and since I was broke, poor, and a little bit homicidal, I figured, well, why not take my chances? Let's go, maybe I'll get a party balloon or something. Who knows? I got on the train, I was all alone, feeling the moment, as you were. And as soon as I got off, I realized that this might be a bigger thing than I thought it was. It was pretty much what I expected to happen to me as soon as I arrived with my new fancy suit when I was going to go to CRU1, They were going to have this big blue carpet waiting for me, and the banners were actually going to say, "Oh, you're amazing, you pretty, pretty little thing." But no, instead it was about some kind of ship launch week, which I guess was about showing off. And I'm here for it. Oh God, am I here for it, because I am broke and I need this. I didn't quite know what to expect, however. I just knew that something was going to be here. There had to be something. They're not going to do this massive event and not let you see stuff. And I was surprised because they showed you everything from massive ships to big engines, guns, basically any additional little equipment that you could attach to your big ship, and even other small stuff. I mean, in general, anything that could be purchased outside of maybe regular firearms could be bought in this location. It kind of felt like I was part of a gun rally, really. It was my first one. I was popping my cherry, and I loved it. And so did this guy, apparently. I think our motives may be a little bit different there. You kind of look like Space Gunnery Jerry to me, honestly, my friend. And I'm not gonna lie, it worries me that you're looking at the gun. It really does. Real Space Gunnery Jerry would never even consider shooting down his wife. Nope, not a chance. He would be a bigger person than that, right? You hear me, Jerry? He would be a bigger person than that. Yeah, he would. Gonna go now. Yeah, they're gonna be just fine. No need to look back into that. Let's just keep going. Anyway, turns out the convention center was a lot bigger than I thought it would be. It wasn't just one big room, it was several halls, including some downstairs floors, where they just had these ships on display, and you could go up to them and you can inspect them as much as you wanted. And every single time I went into a new room, I got more and more angry, because I would see these ships that I just could not afford. For example, this beauty. This beauty is the Star Runner. It's a Crusader line ship, and it is impeccable. I mean, the design is beautiful already as is, and I really, really wanted it. It was actually one of the ships I was saving up for, until the tragic incident, which we shall now call
Optimus Prime Remembrance Day in honor of my old suit. However, it didn't really hurt to take a look, right? Because there was one thing I was doing. I was avoiding the ships, really, to go close to them. Because first of all, I was almost sexually aroused by them. But also because I knew I couldn't really have them. And yeah, then I realized there was an option to go up to every ship and press rent. Now, when you go up there and the first thing you look at when you see rent is that the credit value needed is 0, something happens in your nether region that can't really be explained in a politically correct way that won't get me banned. I took my time by renting the thing because I figured I had to read the description, like if that mattered. Because in the end, even if this rent description had said that it comes with radioactive poisoning, let's be honest, I would have licked that rent button. I would have licked it, and then I would have gone out and celebrated with everyone else. It could have been the last day on earth for me. I at least managed to beat the system because I was finally back. I was feeling it and I was happy. In fact, I was so happy that I started sprinting around the entire place. It didn't matter what it was or who owned it, which company created it. I didn't care if it was created by the same people that potentially made mustard gas, okay? For me, it was all about situational awareness. And I saw it, I clicked it, I rented it. That was it. End of story. Don't come to me with some moral compass. This ship industry is a corporation that runs the galaxy. Okay, we all knew what we signed up for. I signed up for it just as much as you. And I swear I am going to abuse every one of these ships until the day they take them from me. Because, let's be honest, I do understand that. They're not mine forever. They're rented for $0, which probably means I don't have them after the event ends. And personally, I think that's fair. I mean, I suffered a little bit of a loss here, and I feel like reparations were supposed to be in order. And you know what, Star Citizen, they did a good job at repairing that for me. And if you happen to not agree with me on this, then I want you to know that I'm most likely going to be under your bed tonight. So you better just smile and nod, okay? Yeah? We're on the same team here? Good, good. I'm glad we all agree. So, in the end, I decided to end my spree of renting by taking the refueling hauler. Now, the question why I did this is something I still ask myself. Because in the end, I was avoiding people like the plague. My driving skills were atrocious, and if I was to go close to someone, there's a big chance I would just ram them and get us both killed, right? But hey, at least I'm safe, right? With my newfound energy, I decided it was time to go and visit the McDonald's drive-thru and summon out one of these 2 ships. I decided to go with the one that I was not familiar with because the other one was most likely going to be one of my end-game purchases if I managed to complete this 100-day challenge. Yes, I know, it's a big dream, but just let a man dream, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Inferno Ares Crusader Line Starfighter, and I'm gonna be honest, this is the kind of ship that would look me dead in the eye and say to my other ship that I have nothing to worry about, that it's just a friend, and 6 months later somehow this friend lives in my house, owns my cat, my kids, and somehow has the password to my Netflix. And I would basically just be fine with it. I felt like every step I took on that ladder to get into the ship was made of elephant ivory or other dead, rare animals that have probably gone extinct in this timeline. And I feel like if they haven't, then please allow me to finalize this project of ours. Just the wings alone look like they were made to slice through the necks of space whales or other rare species of creatures that might exist out here. What I'm trying to say is basically I'm going to go on a killing spree, and this is going to help me vent a lot of that rage that I built up a little while back, and I think this ship is pretty much the perfect person to help me do so. Please also note the thrusters in the back look ridiculous. The design, the detail, all of it once again is beyond comprehension. The game is just absolutely astonishing. It was, however, time to give this ship a test drive, and the fuel reserves, etc. in this ship were pretty much amazing. They never ran out. But everyone needs an objective, and my objective at this time was to go back home, which is CRU1, because after the reset that I had suffered, it sent me back to Area 18, And I was not having that at all. I went to the medical clinic, I registered myself as a patient or a living person there, I went by the store, I bought myself a backpack and some guns, and then I went to the food court, where I invested my time wisely by spitting in anything that wasn't related to the burrito bar. Once satisfied, it was time to go and visit Anakin Skywalker's planet to find any remaining family members that he still had cruising around in the desert. Luckily for me, Star Citizen is a game that basically drives you in any direction you need thanks to the mission log. And the mission log was guiding me directly to this makeshift little desert town owned by, I guess, the Sand People of some Star Wars movie. I don't know. You fill in the gap. You get it. You know what I'm trying to say here. Point was murder. The theme of the game was murder. And I was all in. Sadly for me, I wasn't the only one that figured out that the theme of the game was murder, because every time I went anywhere for any mission, there was already ships there. In this case, you can see by that little white dot over there. And we were all competing for the same thing. We wanted to get the little marker of the main guy that would be a cash payout. However, since I realized I was in a ship in the sky with a massive gun, I figured, hey, why race him when I can just blast the whole city from above? And then I noticed something. I had a mission called Call to Arms, and every time I shot one of the soldiers next to him, one of the random NPCs that wasn't the main mission guy, I got paid. I got paid $500. So my next goal was just to create an orphan factory. I mean, if any of these people had kids, those kids are now roaming the desert. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, Happy, you can't just play jury and executioner. But you know what? I beg to differ, because I have this amazing ship with a massive cannon that seems to never run out of ammo. So basically, not only can I play jury and executioner, I am being paid just to do so. So I went on a little bit of a murder spree. Just a tiny one, you know? Just one or two people. But I did realize one thing while I was doing all this murdering. That everyone that I was killing was actually potentially also wearing my little Disney suit. Needless to say, I parked my ship during the nighttime and I got myself my beautiful suit back. I mean, look at me. We're all together now. Everything's falling into place. Everything's better. The light is just brighter. And I swear in my head I'm hearing fictional birds chirping. Either way, I finished off the trip by murdering a few more people, and then I realized that I'd actually lost some health somehow inside the ship. So I figured it was time to go home. Upon returning to the station, I realized that the medicine was free when you were at the hospital. Everything was free, and you could even see what injuries you had. And that's called some finite detail. So at some point, I got shot in the pelvis or the gut through the ship, and I'm not mad about it, but I'm a little bit disappointed that there was some kind of lashback and punishment back on me doing all the murdering, because it was supposed to be a very one-sided battle in my opinion. That being said, it was quite nice waking up once without the gown on, because last time I was in here I lost everything. So yeah, it's nice coming back and not being a clone. Imagine if our real hospitals looked this clean. Once I felt done there, I decided it was time to go out to the asteroid field and hunt Joe Bananas. Joe Bananas is probably a normal guy who just happened to do one little mistake, but it's a dog-eat-dog world and I'm here for the paycheck. So while I was out there prowling for him, I realized that I did have a rocket function to my ship, and this rocket function came with multiple firing sequences. Now, you can shoot 2 or you can shoot 4. Obviously, for an unknown reason, I decided it was better to shoot 4, which it was a bit of an overkill, and apparently they just don't really miss. Needless to say, the IRS did no longer have to worry about Joe Bananas. He was sorted. After that, I decided I'd blow up his cargo ship because I figured maybe it was like Star Trek and loot would be hovering in the sky. Turns out that's not how the game works. And Joe Bananas' friends weren't too happy about my scavenger attempt, so I decided I'd have to euthanize them. When the last one of his friends turned into a little supernova, I realized that you should not charge the dead ship with your ship, because apparently you might stall and you're stuck in space. Honestly, I don't even know what I was trying to achieve at that point. I'm as shocked as you are. Once I spawned back at CRU-1, I met Jerry, Gonorrhea Jerry, my best friend. He's currently going through a bit of a crisis here because he's shaved his head now, but I'm sure his wife's still okay. Not wanting to get dragged into something I wasn't about, I decided to go check out the Mercury Star Runner. That's right, the Crusader line ship that I rented earlier, and it comes with storage space, it comes with multiple floors, and it comes with this handy dandy little turret gun at the bottom. And I know what you're thinking, the other ship also had turrets, but I wanted to use the storage space in this one. And it's because I found this handy little laser gun, and this handy little laser gun can lift up anything that I want, basically. I think you know where this is going. Well, if you don't, then let me explain. I'm going to go to Anakin Skywalker's planet. I'm going to meet up with the locals, and I'm going to ask them politely to give me their clothes, because I happen to really, really love this suit. And there's only one place I seem to be getting it, and at the same time I can get it in mass. Now, if they want to come on board alive or dead, that's up to them. Sadly, I think there's really only one option. And don't you guys start with me, okay? Don't go happy. You were supposed to complete this event with a survival of 100 days and see if you could buy the ship. Because you know what? Right now I currently have that ship and I'm enjoying my placebo effect. But what I don't have is a bunch of cloves, because for some reason someone up there decided that they were going to reset everything and take it from me, okay? Yes, sure, I lost one set and I'm replacing it with a few more. In addition, I'd also like to add the fact that these suits are really going to come in handy, because my dogfighting skills in the sky, not so good. Maybe with the guns I'll do better, who knows? Eventually I quenched my thirst for bodies and cosmetics by stashing them all in the corner of the ship. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree, it isn't best look for me right here with a pile of bodies, but however, we are on a desert planet, so if I just close this door and all the witnesses have been taken care of, nobody really needs to know, right? Also, I want to let you know that whoever designed this ship should have the same consequences about stepping on Lego as the one that made the Black Cutlass, because the designs on the ship and the elevators, the doors, all of it, they had no business doing it that well. Now I get to test out the gravity field inside the ship, or if it becomes more like a Yahtzee game in here where the corpses are suddenly scattered all across my spaceship. Jokes on Star Citizen, this ship looks like it's made of ceramic, so whenever I get there I guess I can just wash it off super easy in case I find a leg or something sticking out of a vent. Time for the moment of truth, and the corpses are everywhere. Well, that's gonna be a problem. But on the other hand, it is my hangar. Nobody else should be here technically. I have seen videos where people do hang out in other people's hangars, but if that becomes the case, then I guess I'll just add them to the pile in here and no one will know, except for maybe if I get a crime stat, which I think I would, but you know, no, let's just close the door. With the door being closed, that means that all the loot inside this ship officially belongs to me, and I can now transfer everything over to the CRU-1 base, meaning that my bank is full of gear and I am happy and I'm gonna look like the best Disney princess you've ever seen. Officially having more clothes than Walmart, I figured that it was time for me to make some money again. So I looked up my favorite guy, Hawks Gaming. While listening to my dear Honey Boo Boo, I decided that I would follow up on his guide on mining. While listening to him, I understood that I could collect two different kinds of resources, Aphrite and Dalvine. Now both these things could be collected with a mini go-kart, meaning that I was allowed to dress up as my favorite Disney princess at the same time as I was allowed to drive a go-kart. I was basically doing Mario Kart Bros, except for the fact that in this game all the carts, they came with a laser on them, and I could basically give Mario and Luigi a vicious prostate exam. Hawks did also recommend that I could get the Prospector if I had the budget, however that was not my case because I was still broke, and sadly, constantly being reminded of my poor state, I decided that I'd just stick to the original plan and stick with the Mario Kart. Turns out, however, that there is one thing I did not know, and that is that when you rent this ship, it doesn't appear like in the hangar, as it would with the other Black Cutlass that I rented before. No, instead, it just appears on the planet that you choose to mine from. So, instead of me going to my ship and finding a little Mario Kart standing on top of 4 million corpses, I would have known this if I'd actually paid attention to Hawk's video where he actually explained this to me, but instead I decided to have eye contact with this random stranger, seeing if he wanted to give me his phone number. When I realized he was about to give me the cold shoulder, I decided that I'd just return the favor and leave the station while I still had a little bit of dignity left inside of me. Dressed in my favorite cosplay, I landed on Shubin Mining Facility. Shubin Mining Facility was located on another desert planet. Usually this happens to be where I end up, because apparently I don't go anywhere else. It's not true. In the beginning when I had the black cat, I did end up going to a snow planet. The issue was that I lost my ship, and I guess I'm a little bit resentful. The desert has not wronged me yet. In fact, the desert planets happen to be the only planets that seem to be nice to me. The other ones have wind, cold weather, and whatnot. After a very thorough search, I managed to find the building where I could spawn it. Happens to be only 4 buildings in this desert, but somehow I went to every single wrong one. Seeing some wheels pop out of nowhere, I realized that was my cart, and that cart looked like it was ready to give Mario the biggest prostate exam he's ever seen. Seeing as my vehicle was on the other side of bulletproof glass, I had to rush myself over to the airlock, because I didn't want Cadillac Frank to come by and steal my ride. Adding on to that, if someone did actually manage to steal my mining cart on a desert planet, that would actually impress me more than anything. I'd probably just hand them the keys, honestly. Luckily for me, that didn't happen, and look at this beast of a creation. Not only is it paraplegic accessible, It comes from an amazingly comfortable gaming chair and a few monitors that are placed at a perfect angle so that you can watch Netflix while also seeing how many natural resources are left on the planet to harvest. Now, if this still hasn't convinced you, then I don't really know what to say. I think the problem is more with you than with the ship, let's be honest. Also, I do realize I keep calling it a ship when it's actually a cart. That being said, it's designed in such a beautiful fashion that I feel like it would be insulting not to call it anything else but a ship. Moving on to how it handles, the Mario Kart comes with 4-wheel drive, meaning that if I turn left, this cart will actually turn left, and if I turn right, it will turn right. The cart itself was probably designed by a person that was convicted of murder. Happy you can't accuse everyone of murder. Yes I can, because here's why. I'm going at 400 kilometers an hour in a mini cart in the middle of space with a probe attached, feeling like I could stab, shank, or maim anyone that ever wronged me. For crying out loud, it's got a rectal thermometer on the side that looks like it's been used for things. Okay, you know what? Let's go back to the game now. After doing a few Tokyo drifts, I thought it was time to put the cart inside the ship. Being the amazingly elegant game it is, you even have to get out of your cart once you get close to the ship, only to open the door, because there's no function like those other games where you just casually drive up and scroll on your mouse. No, in this game you actually have to get out of your paraplegic chair, walk up to the ship, open the door, and park the cart like you're some common animal. That being said, seeing the ramp go down in the fashion it's been designed is just fantastic. It's basically worth all the extra effort, isn't it? Once I was inside the ship, I managed to scan around the area and I found a resource spot that was perfect for our little Mario Kart adventure. What we discovered was actually called Dalveen. Dalveen is one of these resources that you can sell for quite a fair chunk of money actually, if you do it right. Sadly, yours truly never really figured out how to control this little laser beam of mine. Instead of listening to Hawk's video, I decided I'd just learn it on my own, because that works, right? So, after 45 minutes of attempting, I started scrolling around on my mouse only to realize that the beam was getting stronger. And that you think would be something that's good, right? Well, apparently you're supposed to regulate it. Those of you who have played this game before might realize what's about to happen. See, I did not. And if you're born with 2 eyes and you're just one of those happy giddy little lunatics that understands that when something, specifically an object, gets overheated, there comes a breaking point. And when that breaking point happens, there's normally only one real situation that comes from this. And that happens to be a little bit of an explosion. Now, I was parked, let's be honest, a little bit too close, and I got a little bit too excited. In my defense, I just spent 45 minutes trying to make any rock show me emotion. It was kind of like flirting with a piece of drywall. Eventually it happened. The breaking point was met. It blew up, it damaged my ship, and I am beyond furious. I mean, honestly, I don't even know if that's part of my ship right there. That's just this big space heater lying on the ground. Anyway, even if that was ruined, at least the minerals were somewhat on the ground. They went ahead and invented a space laser on a go-kart, but they did not invent the space mop. Am I furious about it? A little bit. The Dalveen mineral itself looked like it was crafted by a real geologist, to be honest. Well, that, or perhaps one of those crazy healing crystal people. You know, the ones wearing yoga pants. With the child that's got that one foot in the grave. But at least their social media following is growing, right? I digress. After doing a thorough inspection of the rock, I decided it was time to get back into my paraplegic chair. Turns out the cart started like normal, except for the fact that it refused to budge 1 single inch, meaning that I officially had the option of A, sitting here, staring into the sky, watching some Netflix on the functional monitor, B, try to fix it. I'm not even sure that's something I can do in this game at this point, or C, cut my losses and reset. This is, after all, a survival quality level game, thus I was stuck with option C. On the bright side, I still get to keep the little parts of the Dalveen that came from the laser malfunction. I'm trying to tell myself there is a bright side. Let me have this. I am aware that I may be going through the 7 stages of grief here. I got out of the prostate fixer-upper Mario Kart to get another look at it from the outside, and after realizing that I should have paid more attention to my Legos as a child, I embraced my rage. Not much came out of the vehicle punching, so eventually I did what I had to do and went to respawn myself a new Mario Kart. Round 2. This time around it was cold and dark outside. Lucky for me, the Mario Kart always comes equipped with a handy dandy heating system. Well, that or it's inside of my beautiful Disney/Optimus Prime suit. Most likely the Disney suit, to be honest. This time around I was set on not messing this up, so let's stay focused on the beam and its charge rate. I don't mean to brag, but see all those little gems popping up in a beautifully distinguished animated symbols? This means I may have actually done something right. I know.
I know you guys never doubted me. I made sure to break as many of the rocks as possible before introducing the gem harvester button on the prostate checker. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It can do it all. It can poke, it can scan, it can slice, and it can harvest. The only thing it can't seem to do is take a punch. So I stuck around, beaming up every single resource I could, because this time around I was actually going to make money. I already lost money on just renting the Mario Kart. I don't think it was too expensive, of course, but money spent is money spent, and let's be honest, I haven't really been making massive leaps in profit since my loss of Grandma's jewelry. Also, I just realized that this little mineral supply was not Dalvine, it was Aphrite, the trashy second-rate cousin of Dalvine, meaning even now that I was doing it correctly, I was still making bad income choices. Since, knowing it was a different type of rock, the wannabe geologist inside of me wanted to inspect the space rock. As I picked it up, I swear I could hear the screeching howl saying if I put this under my pillow overnight I could wake up with superpowers. Knowing full well I'm prone to making bad choices, I quickly packed up the resources and headed straight to the mining facility. Here is one amazing thing that they have in Star Citizen. If you fill up your cargo inside of your ship, there's a wonderfully efficient way to sell all your goods. You just cruise in, talk to the McDonald's drive-thru deluxe version, and it will help you instantly. It tells you the price you are getting for the resource and how much it already has in stock. Since every single trader station is different, you can always find one place or another that has a better deal coming your way. That is, if you know where to look. Well guys, I made quite a few little runs with the Mario Kart and the Star Runner. However, eventually I needed a break. When I returned to the game, I was devastated because my beautiful poor little honey boo boo Star Runner had ran out of rent time. Listen, in my defense, how was I supposed to know that I would run out of time that day, right? I wasn't informed. That is a lie. I was very informed. It was literally in every space station. This meant two things. One, I should be happy with the little time I got to spend with the ship, because I don't think a lot of casual Star Citizen players get the chance to do so. For example, this jealous little man here. Honestly, I don't know. He might be super rich. Who knows? I just wanted to show you that Star Citizen actually has more cosmetics than my Disney armor. Number two, we are back in the RSI with this suspicious bed. Since I needed a new method of making money, I figured YouTube might have the answers I was looking for. That's where I discovered my other best friend, Pasum Kage, who teaches you how to steal a ship called the Drake Vulture. The method itself was simple. I accept a salvage job mission, even though I don't have a salvage ship. I fly out to the location with my creepy little van, then I turn off the shields, the engine, and just leave it out at that location. When doing this mission, normally you're supposed to come with one of your own salvage ships, take as much salvage as possible, then skittle-daddle out before the rival scavenger shows up. As you can see, I waited out the time for the other scavenger's ship, and as predicted, that little lunatic instantly blew up my ship. Now here's the part that gets interesting. When the scavenger's ship has gotten his first-degree murder lust down, he will eventually park his vehicle in space. Suffering from amnesia or perhaps a hemorrhoid incident, he will simply sit there. That is when Possum Kage leads your hand gently into something called crime. Possum has recommended me to bring a shotgun into space with enough bullets to kill a space whale, or in this case enough bullets to breach the backdoor ramp of the other scavenger's Vulture Drake. What Possum failed to tell me was that Sarah, the Ruthless over here, might end up parking 19 miles away from me, meaning that me and my favorite cosplay armor got to slowly crawl my way across the galaxy to reach her. He might have mentioned it, to be honest. I could have forgot. That's probably on me. As I spacewalked my way over to the Drake Vulture humming the Bahama Mama song, I was left with a lot of time on my hands. I obviously put that time into something useful, like embracing the fact that Star Citizen is a game that has given me so much range of free choice. I've been a gun runner, I've been a legitimate healing crystals farmer, and now I'm about to be a professional shipjacker. My resume is going to look better than an employee at Google at this point, and it's all thanks to Possum Kage and Hawks Gaming. Thanks for the help, guys. I could never become such a low-tier level criminal without your inspiring help. Also, for those of you wondering why I didn't just clip this part to a smaller scene, it is because I wanted you to feel how big Star Citizen space feeling is. Also, why should I suffer alone? This is a team effort, guys. Oh hush, you love it. Once I finally arrived at this ship, I was told to blast the doors down. However, since my mother raised a gentleman, I figured I would try pushing the button first. Apparently, Miss Ruthless inside has a thing for locking the doors. I don't judge her. So, gentleman phase being put aside, I gave it the old razzle-dazzle with my handy-dandy Kurt Cobain door key. I guess the ramp door was imported from a cheap third-party company because it gave way a lot faster than I predicted. That being said, if I was to pump 24 to 30 rounds of anything into one of the doors of my house, I'm guessing there wouldn't be much of it left. Listen, I'm not a handy man. I don't know how many bullets it takes to take down a door, okay? Possum Kage told me to bring enough to bring down a whole country, and that's exactly what I did. The moral of the story is always bring your special handy-dandy door key if you're out and about. I'm going to be naming mine Kurt Cobain after this. If you don't like it, feel free to give me other suggestions in the comments section. I feel like I would be open to receiving some new name suggestions. The door eventually opened, and I am fully aware that everyone says don't walk towards the light. However, if you, like me, have just spent the last 30 minutes in the vast open space, I can guarantee you that you, just like me, would leap at the light faster than a knife fight in a
phone booth. Like a true gravy seal expert, I ignored every corner when I got into that ship. I would even go as far as saying that I managed to get lost for a brief moment in a one-sided narrow corridor. There she was, Miss Ruthless herself, sitting there like she didn't just savagely blast my creepy van. I quickly introduced her to the floor. As she took a little power nap, I noticed something amazing. The armor that she had on was spectacular. It looked like something you would find in the garbage sale of a murder house. And because Possum Kage and Hawks Gaming have equally been responsible in turning this protagonist into a ruthless antagonist, I figured that armor would probably suit me better at this point. That would, however, have to wait, because in the video that I watched to figure all this out, I was warned that there would be more angry little scavenger friends showing up. Or perhaps that they were already there. Either way, they only really started to care once I sat down on my new throne. Because apparently when I commit a first-degree tickle-pickle fight, I am considered a trespasser. Meanwhile, they do it to me, it's just not even mentioned. Doesn't quite seem fair, does it? Also, I did not realize this, but Miss Ruthless down here is such a little lunatic that she not only completely damaged my creepy RSI minivan, she also did so many space burnouts that I no longer had any fuel in the ship. Now, I don't remember if that was supposed to happen or not according to my lovely teacher, but I was not ready for it. Also, let me remind you that my ability to drive a spaceship was already a nightmarish level. So in comes her gang of friends, and I can tell you here and now that the feeling I had when I breached the doors of this ship, you know, the feeling that I had that I was an untouchable gravy seals, that feeling died real fast. Sure, I was shooting at all the targets, however I had no idea how much damage my ship does. Also, I had no idea how to read the ship's shield level, but I assumed that it wasn't really great at this moment in time, right? It felt like I was just in the casting scene for a horrific adult movie, except I didn't know I signed up for it. The fight actually went on for quite a while, which is the reason why I sped this part up. That being said, if you want to know how it felt like in real time, just imagine you're on the Titanic, the alarms are ringing constantly, and some angry guy with a violin is chopping big holes in all of the lifeboats. Eventually, it was time to accept fate. The little ravaging lunatics had managed to disable piece by piece my newfound ship. And I mean literally, they were blasting off parts of that ship that I didn't even know existed. I'm sure for those of you who know what you're doing, there were tons of ways to get out of this. But let me tell you buddies that I was not made aware of those methods, and I clearly misunderestimated the situation. I decided I would inspect the damage from the third-party view of the ship, which is something I should have probably done from the start, because if I had done such a wise choice, I would have known that my Drake Vulture ship was no longer classified as a beautiful vessel. No, ladies and gentlemen, my ship now looks like it was chewed up dog toy that's seen the inside of 17 different dogs' internal digestive system. Part of me hopes you're all picturing that image in your heads right now. Since I currently need all the joy I can get, I'm back in the cursed hospital gown. I'm alright, no seriously, it's fine. I knew exactly what I signed up for when I decided to play a 100-day survival game challenge, and I was not raised a quitter, so back at it I go. This time around I won't need to show you the entire process of what happened, so we are going to skip straight to the spaceship jacking scene and enjoy politely asking the Vulture Drake pilot to evacuate the little gaming chair he's sitting on. Believe it or not, as soon as I got on the ship, I instantly got lost again, making me quickly consider if I was having a stroke. Realizing that I could not smell the smell of toast, I chalked it down to pure stupidity. Eventually, I did manage to navigate the incredible difficult labyrinth we call a straight corridor and introduce myself and Cobain to the pilot. Feeling a sense of urgency, I can't really put into words how much it pained me to see the amount of time he took to get out of the pilot's gaming chair. That being said, once I noticed that I was given a second chance of looking like a garbage hoarder, it soothed me in ways that can hardly be put into words. Now without delay, I got right into the pilot's chair, took a quick look around. Turns out the little savage also burned all the regular fuel when doing little party donuts. Can't really blame them though. Also, I guess this is the norm for hijacking a Drake Vulture ship at this point. Don't worry guys, this time I managed to figure out how to jump, because tada, look, we made it. The closest station I could find was Grim Hex. For those of you that don't know, Grim Hex is an asteroid base mostly welcoming to criminals that need a place to either lay low or just call home. This was my first visit to Grim Hex personally, and as a welcoming gift, apparently when I asked for a landing pad, they gave me one that must have belonged to someone else they didn't quite like, since the first thing I noticed was a hovering body in the vast empty space just inches away from the gravity gate. Also, his ship was still somewhat in my parking spot, which was a bit rude, but I'm not here to judge. If anything, it means I should probably remember to pay for my docking fee. Also, I need to remember to fly out there later when I leave and pick up his gear. Speaking of gear, I had this lovely handy-dandy set of new fresh garbage armor lying on the floor just waiting for me. So I carefully landed the ship, got right out of the chair, and instantly proceeded to grave rob the sleeping beauty on the floor.
I took everything that I could from the body. Surprisingly enough, I had the willpower not to put the gear on myself automatically, but instead opted to store it inside Grim Hex's local bank slots. I know, I'm impressed by myself too. Might be the first time I actually saved some loot since the Anakin Skywalker Planet Clothes shopping spree that we did before. Once that was safe and stored, it was time to move on to phase 2 of this 9 million phase plan, to refuel the ship. As nice as it is to be able to hyper jump around, without the regular fuel I'll never actually be able to use the ship to its optimal performance levels. Lucky for me, buying fuel, in this case hydrogen, was cheaper than anything else in the system. I guess the corporations figured it was a lot easier to get rich if everyone could travel around. What the hell do I know? Fuel's cheap. That's the important part. Also, before we leave, let's take a third-party view of this Drake Vulture. It is in no way as impressive as the other ships I had before, however. I feel like this ship might actually have a better purpose, and I think I might be a bit sour with the ship after having experienced a violent incident inside the last one. That could be a factor. Still, a much cleaner looking ship than anything I could imagine in my tiny brain. Thanks to the radio on the ship, I connected with Grim Hex, asking them to open up the doors. Without hesitation, Twinkle Toes Larry approved the request, and I was out of there for the next phase of my plan. That being said, I did have to make a quick pit stop and loot the floating little body outside of the blast doors first. Honestly, I should have probably taken a look at his ship as well, but since the last time I figured I could loot a ship, I blew it up and then proceeded to charge the floating iron carcass. My judgment, it's probably questionable at best, so I decided I'd just leave that. By the way, this magical thing you are seeing here is me channeling my inner Vin Diesel from Fast and the Furious. I'm showing you the most perfect drive-by park and loot you have ever seen. Don't you dare question me. So if being a spaceman fails me, at least I'll probably potentially have a job at Uber Eats. Space Eats? I'm sure they have an eats of some sort. With the fuel prices Star Citizen is giving us on fuel out here, it seems like a great business model, honestly. I would probably partner up with CRU1's incredible burrito bar and slowly but surely take over the galaxy. That's right, one burrito order at a time. Don't you guys test me. If they ever let me start my own store in this game, Happy's colonoscopy burritos are going to flood the market so fast you won't even know what hit you. I would have to start small, like focusing deliveries to the people working the refineries on all those space stations. I'm sure they have porta potties waiting there already, so that's a done deal. Then I target the mining people. You know, the ones sitting in the Mario Kart vehicles that we tried earlier? They already have that Netflix monitor set up, so they're gonna love it. Yeah, this is a solid plan. Alright, Star Citizen, I'm ready. Launch the store owner update. Let's go. I'm gonna need to rename the video I survived 100 happy colonoscopy burrito deliveries, but that's cool. I'm ready for it. Maybe we take a look back at the gameplay. Sure, why not? But nobody steal my idea. So, I got out of the ship, spacewalked over to the floating body who seemed to look much more geared than I expected. Most likely, this is a normal loadout, but for me it was all new. However, I never looted someone in space before, so this became a bit of an unusual problem. A luxury problem, but a problem, nevertheless. I did try grabbing his bag first, but for some reason I couldn't put it on myself. If anyone knows why, I would love to hear it, because I was completely confused. It could have to do with the difference in the armor, I guess. Maybe it's just doesn't mesh with my Disney princess suit. Nevertheless, I decided I didn't really want any of the other loot that was on the body, mostly because I still had quite a few sets of armor from the Anakin Skywalker desert chopping spree that went down. I did, however, not have many bags, so that was kind of perfect for me and I really needed it, so I brought that one back to the ship. Once I got into the ship, I really didn't have anywhere to place it, and sadly I was a little too far away from Grim Hex. I already felt like I'd fallen behind on the plan, so I opted to just bring it along. I decided to let the Drake Vulture's ramp close properly before leaving, because I didn't want the same incident as we had when we were riding the Mercury Star Runner. The bodies that were inside, they were everywhere. We officially left Grim Hex, and we took a new scavenging job. This time, because we had a ship from the start, I was allowed to play the scavenger mission like it was normally intended. That being said, I still had no idea really how this ship worked, but all I knew was that for a good portion of time I was actually just going to be allowed to salvage a ship's wreck, and that was the money-making method, so finally I was about to make income again. Now, for those of you who are like me, in short, new to this thingy, let me explain it briefly as far as I understood it. My task at this time was to dress and cosplay Leonardo da Vinci. I was given 2 really big paintbrushes dipped in metal remover. My task with these 2 paintbrushes, aka laser beams, was to trace every part of the ship, and as those parts would vanish from the shipwreck, they would be teleported into a special section at the bottom floor of my ship. Now, me being the uneducated buffoon that I am, did not realize this, so for the most part I was just removing metal left and right, but since I was never actually emptying the cargo slot where it ended up, I was not really getting all the resources I was supposed to get. Now I figured all this out way too late into the mission, and the longer I spent trying to harvest stuff, the closer I got to the moment when I get jumped by other scavengers. Since I had already experienced that a decent amount already, I decided to just reset the entire process on a new mission. No harm, no foul, as they say. So I did what any logical thinking stroke survivor would have done. I went back to the pilot's seat, and because I wanted to, I decided I'd blast the remaining of the shipwreck with the ship cannons. And that, friends, is when my nightmare kicked in. I got hit with a server disconnect. Those who play this game know the feeling well. Those of you who don't, well, consider yourselves lucky. I, for one, spent a lovely moment screaming into the void. That was it. Disney Prince's outfit was officially cursed. It was time to officially go from protagonist to antagonist. I set my new home to Grim Hex, put on the gear that I'd stored there, and embraced my new lifestyle to its fullest. I exited the snazzy-looking corridor and started to plan out my next move. Fueled on nothing but rage and hemorrhoid cream, I figured first things first, find the cafeteria. Then proceed to ordering the world's largest burrito and remembering the good old days back at CRU1. Guys, they don't serve burritos at Grim Hex. If this isn't the calling for violence, I don't really know what is anymore. It's fine. I'll manage, I guess. I bet Space Gunnery at Jerry is enjoying a burrito right now. Anyway, I needed a new plan, a new adventure as they say, so I took a trip to space and took a quick look at the bounty boards. Turns out there's a mission involving a cave. This being new to me, I signed up without hesitation. The cash reward was fairly large and my toes were itching to see something that I hadn't remotely seen before. Now I have a question for you guys. Have you ever seen a space movie where a cave is involved and everything goes well? No? Neither have I. At this point I'm honestly expecting Charlie Epstein to be roaming this place dressed as a massive Ewok. That is actually perfectly what would fit this playthrough so far for me. I mean, is there anything that hasn't actually murdered me so far? I honestly don't understand how so many of you Star Citizen players are successful at this game. It genuinely takes talent to make real money. Well, it's showtime. I pulled up my lovey-dovey friend Kurt Cobain and entered the cave. Now I know the entire point of this bounty was to clear out the cave from the hostiles. However, when entering a cave in this game, you quickly realize that the change of sound that you really get used to outside in space, it's no longer there, and it adds this fear factor. And fear, as we all know, generates imagination. So am I going to turn the corner and meet a normal NPC, or am I going to meet Igor the bloodthirsty psychopath? Turns out it was just a regular NPC. Now, I'm not a religious man, but let me tell you, as soon as I won that first encounter, I started feeling a lot more secure about my odds in this cave. Which was good, because Twinklebrain here did not bring so much ammo when he went in. Some people would say that it was a foolish play. However, I, for one, subscribe to the die-hard mentality. You shoot an NPC, then you yoink that NPC's gun and move on to the next target. Is it a viable plan? Oh god, no. Was it working? Heck yeah! In fact, if anything, it even made me play a little bit slower, which meant that I could actually take my time and listen. That's right, I was adapting, I was learning. I even built up the courage to start looting other things, like for example bags. Bags that actually fit on my back this time. I'm still confused about that one, by the way. Eventually, after making it through the entire cave, I finally found my target. And you know what, guys? I freaking nailed it! However, I was fully aware that I was already pushing my luck in here, and the sounds from the cave, they were really starting to get to me. So because I noticed that the money was already transferred to my account for the kill, I bailed. If someone grabs my leg during these crawling parts, you better believe I'm calling Chris Hansen. You hear me, Epstein? Chris Hansen's gonna have my back. And if he's not available, then let me tell you, I'm fully okay with pulling a hand grenade on myself down here. That is what I have to say about that. Don't you dare test me. Guys, I made it. I got myself out and back to Grim Hex. A successful event. There's something that hasn't happened in a while, huh? After something stressful like that, I deserve to replay an old mission, I figured. You know, that place I went and found the Disney princess suit? And let me tell you, I make so many bad choices. I realized that the only reason I passed that cave was pure luck. My aim was worse than the cave miner suffering from cataracts, and my ability to actually take cover was non-existent. I feel as useful as a wet towel. Hey guys, guess what I found out? That the icon that's at the top of the right side of the screen, that's apparently a crime stat. And because I didn't have the patience to wait for someone to revive me, it put me in space jail. Now don't get me wrong, I love discovering new places, but jail? I basically only did honest jobs. On the bright side, at least I wasn't alone. Space is a lonely place, and also I found Gonorrhea Jerry.
Guess that wife discussion didn't really go well in the end. Well guys, that's it. I applaud you, Star Citizen. You have truly broken me, and I can with confidence say I would love to trick more people into getting into this game. I mean, maybe they can join me in here. Gonna launch the burrito delivery system we talked about, made from whatever meat I can get down here. I'll even pay a guard to ship it out for me. I swear to every Disney princess and Netflix abuser out there, I am not going to die poor in this galaxy. No sir, not after experiencing the highs and lows I've had here. I'm coming back, most likely with a furious vengeance, to be honest. Well, that's it guys. Thanks for watching the video. It's been fun, lunatics, and if you hated it, at least I wasted someone's time. Win-win if you ask me.